and welcome to UC Trends 2024. I'm Tom Wright and I'm delighted to be joined by Aruna from Cisco. Thanks so much for being with us today, Aruna. How's it going?
It's been going great, Tom. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you, and it's great to have you. And you're actually the perfect person to talk to about this topic because you were recently named Collaboration Leader of the Year at the UC Award. So, congratulations. We're going to be talking about collaboration in the world of hybrid work. And I think it's probably fair to say that the challenge of successfully implementing a hybrid work model has proved a bit trickier for some organizations than perhaps they expected. So, perhaps you could talk through what you're seeing in the market in the moment and what challenges and troubles organizations are facing.
I would say there are a couple of key things. One is more and more organizations are mandating that people come back into the office. And we also saw that employee motivation for in office work has significantly evolved. And we did a study, especially in Asia. We just had a very big launch on hybrid work in Asia at Cisco Live Melbourne in December. And we did a study for specifically for the Asian audience, and we're about to launch another study for the EMEA audience in the month of February. But early results from that particular study, we found that it's really the motivation for people to come back into work is primarily to collaborate. 80% of employees said that they want to come back into the office not to do individual work, but rather to collaborate, to ideate and brainstorm with their colleagues was about 53%, and fostering a sense of belonging was about 58%, which clearly signifies that there has been a tremendous change in employee expectations and need for their workspaces. So, in order to summarize, what are some of the key things people are struggling with is how can they make the office a magnet and not a mandate, right? So because people want to have said that they choose to come back into the office because they want to collaborate, because they want to ideate and brainstorm with their colleagues, and also foster a sense of belonging. And so yeah, it's a very, very imperative that you have to make office into an environment where people can actually collaborate, ideate with their colleagues across the board. And the other thing we are also seeing is people may be encouraged to come back into the office for on-site customer meetings, new team member onboarding, and annual planning for management, so on and so forth. And so again, how do you create an environment in the office so that it's not a mandate and people will want to come back into the office? So employers are still struggling with that because making that environment like that will require them to completely reimagine the whole employee experience in the particular workspace. So that's one across the board. The second one is, this is more for employers. Hybrid work is here to stay, right? In 2024 and beyond, more and more employers need to think about the fact that there is going to be at least one person who's going to be a remote virtual participant. While they're mandating that people come back into the office, and people want to come back into the office in order to collaborate and ideate with their employees, you still need to make sure that the environment is set up such that everyone is included in the conversation. Like we did a study a year ago, and what we found is that 98% of meetings will have at least one virtual participant, but only 15% of conference rooms are equipped with the tools in order to support those video meetings. So what does this mean? It means that if employers are not video enabling their conference room, there is not an opportunity to make sure that everybody is included in the conversation. And so as employees continue to embrace hybrid work, there is tremendous amount of opportunities for employers to create an environment in their offices in order to make hybrid work into a magnet, and the offices into a magnet and not a mandate.
Yes, so there really is a lot to think about here, and it's clear from the research you mentioned that employees have a really clear idea of what they want the office to be. So I just wonder
Mhm.
if you could talk through some of the approaches that you're seeing be particularly successful to make this work for the businesses and for their staff.
So like I said, The one of the first thing is, we launched this concept called distance zero. It means that whether somebody is working from home office or they're mobile and they're working anywhere in between, you want to create an environment, the distance between all the people who are participating in that particular meeting or in that collaboration environment, the distance is zero. And so how can you actually do that? And this is where technology is going to play a tremendous role. Like I said, only 15% of conference room worldwide are equipped with the necessary tools and technology in order to support that distance zero concept. And so here at Cisco, we have tremendously evolved our video devices. And so we have created a plethora of devices which are meant for every desk, every space, every type of conference room, whether it is a small, medium, or large conference room, so that we can actually enable inclusive video meetings so that we can support the concept where there is distance zero. So people will not even know that whether somebody is actually joining that particular meeting remotely or they're joining it from their home or their another different offices across the board. So what have we done with respect to that? So we have innovated with a series of devices, and all of these devices are also AI enabled. The future of collaboration is going to be about AI. And so we are rapidly supporting a lot of AI enabled capabilities. So most of our video devices have the NVIDIA chips built in, which and NVIDIA is very big about AI, and which again further enables us in order to support this distance zero concept. In addition to that, where if people are not joining meetings using their video devices from home, our underlying technology with WebEx is now tremendously AI enabled, which means that we'll be able to support, we'll be able to allow employees in order to embrace hybrid work, and leveraging AI, it'll enhance the way they work, regardless of whether they're working at home or anywhere in between.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wanted to actually follow up and ask you a couple of questions specifically about Cisco, if that's okay. We'll move on to perhaps some of the technology in a second, but I wonder if you could talk through the kind of strategy that Cisco has implemented, because we've seen lots of organizations, as you said, almost force employees back to the office, even in the tech space. So what kind of approach have you taken with your workforce to ensure effective collaboration, but also retain a bit of flexibility?
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, Cisco was named as the number one workplace to work by several different organizations across the world, and that is not given to every company across the board. The reason we were named the best place to work is, one is about the culture which we basically promote over here, which means that we have a we really support the hybrid work culture here within Cisco, and we constantly see candidates who are looking for best in office and hybrid work meeting environments when they basically think about their choice, especially new candidates who are looking for new employment. Giving a very flexible hybrid work policy and supporting them in terms of how they actually work in order to bring their best self to work every day is a huge part of our Cisco culture. Currently at Cisco, 71% of leaders have at least one person that is remote from other team members, while 16% of managers have every member of their team remote from each other. How amazing is that? Pre-pandemic, approximately 50% of Cisco employees came into the office every day, and currently only about 10% are coming in daily. And this is because this is inclusive of off-site employees who are not assigned to a building. Today, this group represents approximately 28% of blue badge employees. Pre-pandemic, this was about 18%, 10% increase in terms of people where we actually support that hybrid work concept. In addition to that, we are building Office of the Future. Office in order to basically support that kind of a collaboration environment. And so we have stood up multiple different offices worldwide. And let me take, for example, our New York office, which is at One Penn Plaza, where we have actually shifted our approach for physical spaces. only 30% of physical spaces have been set aside for individual work, which means that 70% of all spaces in the New York office are meant for collaboration. And based upon the New York office was actually launched, I think in 2021, and we have gathered a lot of data in New York City in terms of how our employees actually utilize the spaces. And Cisco has taken a step further in terms of our new Atlanta office, which was opened in April 2023, where 10% of the spaces were dedicated to individual work and 90% was dedicated for collaboration. All of our offices are video enabled because we know that we want to be able to support that collaboration environment. And like I told you, why people come back into the office based upon the study we did in Asia is that a huge percentage, 80% come back into the office because they want to collaborate. 53% come back into the office because they want to ideate and brainstorm with their colleagues. And 58% come back into the office because it fosters a sense of belonging. So, knowing this is the case, as we built out our Atlanta offices, we only dedicated 10% for individual work. Because if they want to do individual work, they can do it at home. We have a very flexible policy, and 90% of offices in our new Atlanta office is meant for collaboration. And that's the approach we are going to take as we stand up these multiple different hybrid work centers around the world, because our whole goal here at Cisco in order to facilitate that inclusive collaboration.
Yeah, and based on those figures, I don't think anyone could argue with the fact that Cisco is truly embracing a hybrid work policy. And of course, you can't do that without the technology to underpin that. So I think that moves nicely actually into a question about technology, if that's okay. What kind of products and services are you seeing really strong demand for across the WebEx portfolio at the moment?
We are seeing a tremendous amount of demand for all parts of our portfolio. So I would say in the UCAS part of our portfolio, tremendous demand for our calling portfolio. We continue to be the world's leaders. Recently, Gartner launched their UCAS Magic Quadrant, and we were again determined as the leader consistently, I think about 5 years in a row since the Magic Quadrant was actually launched. And so we are seeing tremendous amount of interest in our calling part of our portfolio, and even for our meetings part of our portfolio, because our meetings part of our portfolio is now AI enabled. We are at WebEx One in October of 2023. We launched tremendous amount of new capabilities specifically towards AI, and we launched the revolutionary industry. We were industry first to launch a new concept specifically for video, which we called RMM, real time media model. The whole world is talking about LMM, which is specifically targeted towards large language model around text. We launched real time media model, which is all about revolutionizing AI, generative AI for video and audio, which nobody is actually talking about. And so we're seeing tremendous amount of interest across the entire WebEx portfolio, specifically given that we have revolutionized our AI part of our WebEx portfolio. In addition to that, there is a tremendous amount of strong demand for all of our video collaboration Cisco devices, whether it is our desk devices with our Desk Mini, Desk Pro, or whether it is for our board devices, which is for co-creation and ideation. Like I said, employees want to come back into the office in order to ideate and brainstorm. And this is where our board devices have a huge role to play. And our teleconferencing devices, which we now call room devices, where we have built room devices for every meeting space in the office. And so we have seen a tremendously huge demand across the board, and we are excited to see what the future has to hold for 2024.
And that actually leads me on very nicely to my last question. We've covered a lot of ground today, and it's always nice to finish, I think, by looking forward. So I wonder if you could pick out a few hybrid work trends that you expect to be particularly prominent this year, and perhaps talk about how that will drive the Cisco and the WebEx strategy going forward.
Like I said, I think I would probably say there are going to be three important trends which will play a very strong role in 2024. Hybrid work is here to stay. All of us have learned a lot from that, and more employers will basically, video enable their conference rooms in order to support inclusive collaboration, in order to create an environment for employees to basically come back into the office. The second one I would say is that employees will continue to embrace the flexible philosophy, which we all learned during the hybrid work environment 2 years ago, which means that people will continue to embrace and will look for options to work for employers who will give them the flexible policy so that they can collaborate and co-create regardless of where they're working, home or office, anywhere in between. And third, and which I think is going to be a very important trend, everybody's talking about, AI is going to revolutionize how we do hybrid work. It's going to basically provide different new ways for people to collaborate and increase people's productivity, increase the level of collaboration, and all different collaboration tools, whether they are physical devices or whether they are software. With the UCAS part of the portfolio, everything is going to have a huge AI boost. And as you can see at WebEx1, we are leading the market when you think about how we are actually revolutionizing our technology with AI, specifically around audio and video.
Great. I think it's certainly going to be another very interesting year in the industry. And Aruna, I appreciate you taking the time to give us your thoughts today.
I am deeply honored to be a part of this particular conversation. Thank you, Tom, for having me on this UC Trends webcast today.
It's been great having you. And thank you everyone for watching. Remember, you can follow the full UC Trends series on uctoday.com and through the UC Trends hashtag. That's all for me. We'll see you next time.